The last part of the solving linear systems by substitution lesson is to look at some application problems. So we're going to look at an example that looks at a real world situation that could occur. So Catherine is selling t-shirts to raise money for diabetes research. The supplier charges a $210 design fee plus $3 per t-shirt. Catherine plans to sell the t-shirts for $10 each. We want to know how many t-shirts Catherine needs to sell in order to break even. So what does that mean? So the break even point means that the amount of money that she has to pay the supplier will equal the amount of money she earns by selling the t-shirts. So that's our break even point. So how many t-shirts does she have to sell for the amount that she has to pay the supplier and the amount that she earns to be exactly the same? Anytime we have an application type question, we have to come up with our variables. So in this case, we're going to let C represent the total cost. And this can we can specify that we're doing it in dollars, or you can leave that part out. We're going to let N represent the number of t-shirts. Once we've defined our variables, it's important for us to create an equation. So we're going to create an equation that is going to represent the situation for the supplier. So the equation for the supplier would be that the total cost would be the $200 for the design fee, $210 for the design fee, plus $3 for every t-shirt. So remember that $3 per or anything per means that that's that multiplication by our variable. So our formula for the supplier is the cost equals $210 plus $3 for every t-shirt. Now we need to come up with an equation for how much she's going to make when she sells the t-shirts. So we know that she plans to sell the t-shirts for $10 each, so the total cost would be $10 per t-shirt, so $10 times N. Those are the two equations that we have. Now, normally when we looked at equations of lines, we used a formula y equals mx plus b. Because we're using an equation that involves c and n, our c would be like our y, and our x would be like our n. So when we're writing our coordinate, so our point of intersection, instead of writing xy, we're going to write it as nc, because our n is like our x and our c is like our y. So keep that in mind. So now we're going to use substitution to determine that break-even point. So if I was to graph these two equations, where would they intersect on a Cartesian plane, right? So where would that happen? And we're going to use substitution to do that. So the way that we're going to do that is just like we did in our previous examples. We're going to start by labeling our equations 1 and 2. These are both in the form y equals mx plus b. So this is an equation similar to what we looked at in part A. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute one of these equations into the other. So we're going to sub equation number 1 into equation number 2. So we're going to take this value of c and we're going to put it into this value for c. So we're going to have 210 plus 3n is equal to 10n. Now we're going to solve for n. And we solve by n by moving all of our variables to one side. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to move this 3n to the right-hand side because 10 is bigger than 3, so we're going to move all of our variables to the side that is bigger. So I'm going to subtract then 3n from both sides because that's the opposite of adding 3n. So I have 210. 3n, take away 3n is 0, so that's gone, equals 10n minus 3n. 10n minus 3n is 7n. From here, I want to divide by my coefficient. So the opposite of multiplying by 7 is dividing by 7. And I have to do that to both sides. So I have to do it to my left-hand side, and I have to do it to my right-hand side. 7 divided by 7 is 1, or 1n. And 210 divided by 7 is 30, so 30 is equal to n. So far, what I've just discovered is that the number of t-shirts that needs to be sold in order to break even would be 30. Now we want to know the entire point of intersection. So I want to know not only just how many t-shirts I have to sell, but how much money am I going to have to give to the supplier, and how much money will I earn by selling the t-shirts. So I'm going to take this one step further, and now I'm going to solve for my C value. So I do that by substituting and solving again. So I'm going to substitute my n equals 30 into either one of my equations. Let's go ahead and put it into equation number 1. C is equal to 210 plus 3. When I get to n, I'm putting 30 in its place. So just to clarify, I'm taking this n equals 30 and I'm putting it right here into this n in my first equation. And let's go ahead and solve this. C is equal to 210. 3 times 30 is 90. And 210 plus 90 is 300. So this means that the number of t-shirts, I have to sell 30 t-shirts. Or if I buy 30 t-shirts, I'm going to make $300, or I have to give the supplier $300. So this becomes my break-even point. So if I sell 30 t-shirts and buy 30 t-shirts, I'm going to make 0 money, because all of that money that I earn from selling the t-shirts, I have to pay to the supplier. What I can do is I can now figure out how many t-shirts I would lose money for. I could figure out how many t-shirts I would make a profit on, all of those other fun applications that I could do with this question. But I also want to make sure that this answer is correct. So I've come up with a point of intersection. So my point of intersection would be 30 and 300. So that's where we would cross on a graph. So what does that mean? That means 30 t-shirts and $300. That's my break-even point. So let's do our check to make sure that we're correct. Now this says to verify by checking the point of intersection in each equation. We know that we only have to really do it for the one equation, because essentially we've done that left side, right side check already, or determined our C value from equation number 1. So we're going to go ahead and do our left side, right side check for equation number 2. So equation number 2 is the left side versus the right side. The left side was C, the right side was 10n. We said our C value should be 300 and our n value should be 30. We want to see if our left side and right side work. So 10 times 30 is 300. Look at that, it works. So we can do our conclusion. So therefore, the point of intersection occurs at the coordinate 30 and 300. This means that Catherine needs to sell 30 t-shirts in order to break even. And we know that if she sells less than 30 t-shirts, she's losing money. So she'd end up paying more to the supplier than she makes. But if she sells more than 30 t-shirts, then she's earning a profit. I hope this helps in terms of looking at how we can use substitution to solve an application type question. If you have any questions about this lesson, please reach out to me, send me an email, or sign up for a virtual help session, and I will see you in the next lesson.